Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Carl. I'm a recovery coach here at CAP Recovery. This is our family meeting. I have an article here. It says addiction is a family problem, the process of addiction for families. So this is an article that's about a family disease and the process and the addiction for families. So it goes on to say, what is an addiction? Addiction is a brain disorder, basically when addictive substances are put in our body. The chemicals in those substances move into the brain and stimulate the limbic system, the pleasure center of the brain, an enormous sensation of gratification. Sure, this part of the brain is supposed to be balanced out by the prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for judgment and decision making. So when the limbic system says go, 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 those drugs feel good. Get more. The prefrontal cortex is supposed to recognize that there are consequences to doing so and is supposed to be able to say stop. However, when the brain has been altered repeatedly by the use of drugs and alcohol, addiction can occur and the prefrontal cortex becomes disabled. It can no longer say stop. Typically, an addicted person must experience enough consequences from their use to override the associated pleasure, the desire to end the consequences. It is often that leads an addicted person to seek recovery. Recovery builds scaffolding around the damaged prefrontal cortex so that it can begin to work correctly again and help the person to make healthy, appropriate decisions. Addiction is a process, not an event. It's not like a cold. With a cold, you go to bed feeling fine and then you wake up feeling lousy. Your throat hurts, your nose is running, and your face is full of pressure. You know something has changed, something is wrong, you're sick. Addiction is different. It grows over time because of relatively slow process. The sickness is harder to get recognized. Addiction is akin to the boiling frog phenomenon. What do you think? What do you think happens if you throw a frog into a pot of boiling water? The frog will recognize the water is too hot and then he is in danger. Therefore, he does his best to jump out. But what happens if you take a pot of lukewarm water, place the frog in the pot, and put the pot on the stove, turn on the gas, and slowly over time, the water starts boiling? The frog has difficult. Hey, Bailey. Place the frog in the pot and put the pot on the stove, turn on the gas, and slowly over time, the water starts to boil. The frog has difficulty sensing the incremental temperature change. The warm water dulls the sense of makes the frog sleepy. He does not recognize the danger and he boils. Addiction acts as much the same way. As addicts continue in the process, they become used to the changes. Their damaged brains do not sense the danger and they often find themselves in boiling water before they realize that they are in serious trouble. So I like the little thing they have going on with the frog in the pot. So it's not like, you put a pot on the stove and you heat it up, boiling hot water, and you just stick the frog in, he's going to react right away. And if you put the frog in the pot and you put it on the stove and increase little by little the fire, then it's like too late before it actually gets hot. So I like the little thing they have going on here. So sometimes we don't know until it's too late that we're in serious trouble. What it says. It says the family in the process. Family members of addicts witness to the destruction or part of the process. When a person loves someone who is addicted to drugs or alcohol, it is impossible for that person to avoid being affected by the addict's actions. The intent to which the impact occurs depends greatly on the family members. Knowledge of addiction and use of resources for many family members, it takes months and years to gather helpful information and related coping skills. In the meantime, it is easy to personalize the process. For example, many family members believe that if they had said or done the right thing at the right time, they would have prevented their loved one's addiction Other family members grow resentful, thinking that if an addicted person truly cared about them, then they would be enough to stop an addiction. It can be a tremendous relief for family members to comprehend that they cannot control or cure their loved ones. An attempt to do so tends to make problems worse for themselves. Yes, so when we're caring and loving for a loved one that's addicted to alcohol and drugs, we want the best for them, and um, in the process of that, we can cause a lot of damage and a lot of resentments, a lot of anger, frustration. Um, so, it's up to the addict to really want to get better. We can want it for them, but it doesn't mean that they will, get clean and sober. So we have to basically meet them where they're at. It goes, older family members who are unable to grasp these concepts tend to become so hurt by the process of addiction that they are no longer able to function as the once did. The personalities change, they become victims of the disease. They sure do. We take a lot of our family members and friends captive. We don't know how much damage we cause to them until it's like too late. In the process of addiction, I hurt a lot of family members, a lot of friends. That's what recovery is about, is making amends. Not just a verbal amends, but like put into action and doing things that are not just saying sorry. All right, where am I at here? Where am I at? An innocent start. The addiction process begins innocently. Nobody wants to be an addict. Most are first introduced to alcohol and drugs by another person in some type of social setting. Perhaps they are spending time with a friend who raided a parent's liquor or medicine cabinet. Perhaps they are at a party. Or perhaps they are sitting around the family dinner table and are given a sip or more of wine every now and then. Rarely so do people start using substance all by themselves. Moreover, experimentation with alcohol and drugs tend to begin to the teen or even preteen years when the user is ill equipped to think, though these actions, the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain that is responsible for weighing consequences and making good decisions, is not fully functioning, and teenagers is out of bounds related to the limbic system, the pleasure center, which develops more rapidly. Until the early to mid 20s, therefore, teenagers are less likely to make wise decisions because their brains are still developing. It is more likely that they are engaged in risky behaviors and focus on immediate pleasures instead of potential consequences. Moreover, the younger a person and when he or she begins using drugs or alcohol, the more likely it is that he or she will become addicted. The attraction to the dependency of the substance gets forward into the developmental process. Another common way is which people enter the process of addiction is though a doctor provides prescriptions, people have legitimate reasons. So this is like this is like a product of your environment. That's for me for sure is like, my uncle let me drink with him. People I hang out with that were using, getting high, using alcohol. And that stops your mental state. You know what I mean? It talks about the early stages of being a teenager and mid 20s, like your brain hasn't fully developed. So when you're using drugs and alcohol over years and years at a young age, it stimulates your mind and it messes your mindset up. And it sure does. It really does over years. And like I said, you don't know until it's like too late. It says seeking a doctor help with concerns like chronic pain or anxiety, and doctors have legitimate reasons for prescribing drugs to treat these conditions. Unfortunately, opiate medications like Oxycontin and Percocet prescribed for chronic pain can be addictive. and as can be benzos like Xanax prescribed for anxiety. Once a person gets hooked, it is quite common to a doctor's shop, going from doctor to doctor, with the hope of cataloging the doctor into prescribing a certain type of drug. People get very good at knowing what to say and how to act to manipulate a doctor into prescribing. Some doctors are savvy and understand the signs and symptoms of addiction, but many are not and take their patients as face value. Of course, it is also possible for people to buy opiates and benzos off the street, and the intent. It would be so nice if potential addicts would turn blue the first time they drank or drugged, to let them know that they need to stop because further use will lead to addiction. But they don't turn blue. Typically, they do. They look like everyone else who does some experimenting with alcohol or drugs, or goes to the doctor with complaints and gets prescriptions. Of obvious signs of addiction do not emerge until later. Yes, I have experience with doctor shopping. So, and that's with like Xanax and Percocets and stuff like that. That was my younger ages, my teen years of like, getting certain medications and liking them medications because I'm, an addict. And at the time, I really didn't know. I couldn't really grasp what an addict was. And so I would doctor shop, and I would tell, like I said, tell the doctors what they want to hear so I can get the things I wanted. And I've done that for years. And I got in trouble for it. Got caught selling prescriptions, trading prescriptions, abusing prescriptions. So that's just, part of addictive behaviors. The family enters the process. People do not continue behaviors for no reason. There has to be a benefit that reinforces the behavior. So it goes with addiction. People continue to use alcohol and drugs because they enjoy the use itself or the related effects. Maybe the substance make a good feeling last longer. Maybe they make bad feelings turn into good feelings. At the very least, maybe they make a bad feeling go away. It is better to feel nothing than bad. Perhaps the use of the substance provide the feeling of acceptance or a thrill adventure. Therefore, our loved ones make space for the use in their lives. They become preoccupied with the substance. Of course, the use of substance can be quite time consuming. So, example, amount of space must be made in a person's life to fit this new activity. And this often when a family member first enters the process of addiction, many family members become more and more preoccupied with their loved ones. As their loved ones become more and more preoccupied with their drug of choice, when someone we love starts to change their habits, their patterns, and their interactions, we know it. We know something is different, and it pulls our attraction. Additionally, family members are often negatively impacted by their lifestyle. Changes made by the alcohol or drug use loved one. Without a clear understanding of the phenomenon occurring, family members tend to feel hurt, angry, frustrated, confused. They wonder why their loved one is acting differently, withdrawing, and failing to handle responsibilities. Such tension builds in the family. Some family members become aggressive with their concerns, arguments, and perhaps physical attractions can ensue as they confront their loved ones about their unreliability. Some family members are more passive. They stuff their concerns inside and walk on eggshells. Some family members are passive aggressive and they find ways to get even with their loved ones while pretending that everything is okay. So it's like this gives you a couple of examples why some of us can use drugs, and it says provides feelings of acceptance or a thrill of adventure. Therefore, loved ones make space in their lives. They become preoccupied with substance, right? So we take our focus off our family, our friends, the world around us, and we're so occupied with drugs and alcohol that nothing else matters. And it causes a lot of pain, causes a lot of harm. It talks about the family members can be feeling walking on eggshells. being frustrated, angry with us. Um, so a lot of negativity comes along with using drugs and alcohol, right? And there's a lot of tension builds up in the family. People can be aggressive. So like that's just it comes with years and years of causing harm and causing pain. That stuff builds up. And it all depends on the individual if they want to help or not, and to amend these relationships. Because some you can't amend. Some bridges are burnt and they can't be put back together. But like that's where acceptance comes from. So it's a process. It's for sure. It is a process. It says the process continues. Addicts are sick people. They are not stupid people. They know when tension has entered the family. However, because of the way the addiction hides itself in the brain, they do not consistently understand that their family members are upset because of behavioral changes that have occurred as a result of their own addiction. They just know that things aren't comfortable in their home. It's an uncomfortable feeling that they are like this feeling to go away. It is a problem, and they have trained their brains to handle problems by using more drugs and alcohol. Of course, the more they use, the more physical and psychological hooks of addiction penetrate. Therefore, the user becomes more preoccupied and less responsible. The tension grows, and the greater tension, the greater uncomfortable, guilty feeling. Therefore, the more the user uses, and so on, in a vicious cycle. So it talks about like getting occupied with the drugs and alcohol, and we're not taking care of like responsibilities. We're not like productive. We're not holding jobs. I mean, we might have them, but we don't hold them for too long. A lot of tension grows in the home with our friends and family. Guilty, shameful, feeling uncomfortable, and it talks about a vicious circle, and that's what it is. It's a ending, never-ending vicious circle until until the pain gets great enough to actually do something different. And it says family members also often find themselves feeling guilty regarding the changes that have occurred. They may wonder if they caused the problem or feel that they have failed to fix it. Many family members wish that they had discovered the drug and alcohol use earlier, said something differently, or acted differently, believing that they have the power and the responsibility to cure or control the disease. Family members, especially parents, may also feel that they caused the disease because they failed to protect their loved ones from it. By this time, everybody's stress level has increased dramatically. Witnessing someone you or love suffering from addiction is incredibly stressful. As human beings, we have a very natural reaction to stress. Our defense kick in the best case scenario, our defense helps us. They ease us until real reality when life hits us with shocking information. However, with addiction, defenses tend to get stuck and they end up being more harmful than painful. The main defense include denial and the ability to comprehend that a problem exists, minimizing, believing the problem to be minor, and self-correcting avoidance. Removing oneself from situations in which confrontation and approval, blaming, believing that others are the cause of any problems that are occurring, and rationalizing, justifying, excuse making. So it talks about some of it on like the family end of it. How the family members can feel about the person in addiction. They can feel guilty or shameful. They think it's their fault. They wish they caught it earlier on. Maybe they want to get the consequences they were getting. So they put the blame on themselves, and that causes more friction and more, trauma and chaos in the family itself. And which in the long run, it's really not their fault, but they can over time, and the addict itself can make the blame game. play the blame game. Oh, it's you did this, I did that. It's a vicious circle, and until that individual can start to recognize these things and start to get better. And first he's got to get clean and sober. Then the families can start amending. The excuse that is mostly frequently made in some variations of this: if you have the job, the life, the family, the trauma that I've had, you would understand. I need this. I deserve this. I cannot live without this. Family members are also prone to getting stuck in defense. Family members can live in denial for months and years. They either do not see the problem or they try to make the problem about themselves, about something else, believing that if the other issue can be fixed, work trouble, self-esteem issues, the abuse of alcohol and drugs will stop. Family members also avoid. It's horrifying to watch a person who loves progress into addiction, and it can create a terrible, hopeless, helpless feeling. Therefore, family members may pull away from the addict because it hurts too much to be around them. Family members may also blame resentful that their loved ones aren't seeking help and believing that they cannot feel better until they loved ones are okay again. Family members will also join in their rationalizations and justifications, although over time many family members gain the ability to sense when their loved one is being dishonest. They are still likely to give the benefit of the doubt, hoping that their loved one will naturally change by joining in with the excuses. Family members make those excuses stronger. With the defense in place, people are no longer tethered to reality. Therefore, mood swings are more common. Addicts with have mood swings throughout the process because the addictive chemical creates changes in the emotional centers of the brain. I agree. The more swings tend to get worse over time as the process unfolds. The family members also experience mood swings in the form of chutsiness, irritability, and tearfulness. The late stage can be chaotic. Yeah, you can coming off drugs and alcohol can be really moody, right? Because like you're used to having something inside your system, right? And then these chemicals are dwindling away, and like you can experience a lot of frustration, a lot of anger, a lot of mental problems, and your body's going through changes, because your body's so addictive to the substance, man, and it causes a lot of unwelcome feelings. You know, it says the problems multiply. Areas of life often impacted by addiction include finances, health, relationships, work, and school. Family members also experience problems in these areas. For example, if a family member has a joint account with an addicted person and the addict is having a financial problem, so true is the family member. If a family member has been bailing their loved one out of trouble, it has been impacted financially. If the family member is supposed to be cared for financially by the addict who is no longer able to do so, that dependent family member is hurt. Furthermore, stress take a great toll on health. It can cause several problems related to heart rate, blood pressure, stomach irritation, muscle tension, and immune system. Family members also experience problems with their relationships. It is difficult to know who to trust and how to reach out to others. It is difficult to have time or energy for other relationships. If the addict is the center of attention, this can be especially troubling if a parent is too distracted to be aware of their needs and the impact of situation on their children. In addition, it is difficult to concentrate on work or school tasks when preoccupied with the addict's behavior and worries about what will happen next. Productivity can suffer greatly. In the end, pressure of the process must go. Somewhere, those who will tend to internalize show symptoms of depression and anxiety. Those who tend to internalize many become rageful. Those who cannot stand to feel anymore go numb. This is the late stages of the process for family members. And an addicted person, the situation has gone from bad to worse, once functioning and personality having changed. So the end. This talks about the end stage of like the family's emotions and feelings is going numb. So how I interpret it like that, because using drugs and alcohol and causing chaos and causing depression, anxiety, and frustration and anger to my family and friends, over a period of time, they started to become numb to it. They started to get used to it. And there's some crazy part how to think about it, but they become numb to it. Sometimes they know about it, but they keep it to the side. They don't keep it in the forefront of their mind. Put it in the back of their mind, and they start to just accept it what it is. And it says, next one. Last one we'll do is family stuck. Family members get caught in the process of addiction and stay caught if they believe that relief can only come if an addict changes. Thoughts related to this mindset include: one, to fix you because it hurts me to see you this way, or live like this. I don't want you to hurt, so I have to make you better. I want to feel good, happy. I can't do that if you are going to be sick. For example, I depend on you to make me feel good. When I'm feeling bad, I blame you. If only we're taking care of ourselves, then I wouldn't have to feel this way. I will feel empty because nothing is getting through to you, and I don't know what else to do or who to turn to. Who will understand? I am all alone. As a result, family members feel responsible for the addict and try to fix, rescue, protect, and control, which leads to exhaustion, anxiety, fear, guilt, anger, rejection, and self-pity. Enabling is also common in the process. Enabling includes standing between a person and his or her consequences, doing for someone something he or she be doing for him or herself, and engaging in action to ultimately preoccupy someone's problematic behavior. Families will enable their loved ones and keep them from recognizing the seriousness of their problem. So it's like eliminating their consequences. Family and friends can do that for the addict, so they don't, hit the really rock bottom. They provide that cushion for them, so they keep on using drugs and alcohol, which a lot of family members can do because they don't want to see them hurt. They don't want to see them sick. And you don't know how much damage we can cause their family. And it talks about exhaustion, the pain, the anger, the fear, the guilt, the rejection. A lot of these negative behaviors and negative thoughts and emotions and feelings that come along with us using drugs and alcohol. We don't know how much we're causing harm to our families and friends. So that was the end of our meeting today, and I'm Paul with Capital Recovery. Until next time, we'll see you again.